be more than
Hello
human.
and welcome back to the channel. My name is J.R. Carroll. I am the author of the More Than Human novels. And today we're here to talk about the 3 things I learned from interviewing Jim Butcher.
Hell yes.
Now, because I am me, let's start off with an honorable mention. And this was something I didn't really think all that much about until he brought it up. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. And as I've said before, I think Jim Butcher might be the best side character writer in all of fantasy. And this is one reason why. He said to me, you have to make sure that you're doing things to your side characters off the screen. So when Dresden runs into Kincaid or something else and Kincaid's hair's all blown back, or he's got a cut on the top of his eye that he didn't have the last time we seen him, even if that last time we haven't seen him has been a long time ago, Dresden can make a comment about that, and Kincaid can make some backhanded comment like, oh, some stupid fay or something like that, and it just gives a little bit more depth, and it makes everything seem a little bit more real, because you're like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, Kincaid does stuff like that. That's going to happen, and it just adds a little bit more depth, I think. All right, now we're going to start getting into the top 3. If you like this kind of stuff, I've got to interview a lot of really well-known authors and authors that are just at the top of their game. Make sure you like, subscribe, and I can do a whole bunch more of these. So let's get into the top 3. And we'll start in no particular order. He said, do not be afraid to write things that are going to happen in the distant future. But to do that, you have to be able to pay off some things now. So that's one thing I took from him before I ever wrote my books years ago is, okay, I want to do some stuff where my readers can see at the beginning of the book that it's like, okay, he's telling us a lot about this and this and this, and then towards the end of the book, I definitely have to pay off on 1 or 2 of those things, and I pay off them in spectacular fashion, or in a way that makes people go, oh my God, why didn't I see that coming from the beginning? And then don't answer a few of those questions that you planted, so people can go, oh, he didn't say what was going to go on with this or this, but he paid this off really well. Oh my God, this is coming in the future. That's what Jim was kind of telling me. He's like, yeah, because Jim is the best at throwing up these long arcs that may not drop for 4 or 5 books. And I just enjoy that so much. I don't know. Tell me in the comments, is that something that you really enjoy, like long arcing things, or are you more like, hit me hard, hit it now, make it happen? I really enjoy those arcs that just fall out of nowhere so far in the future. And then number 2, and this is something that makes Jim Butcher a little bit different than a lot of writers, and especially a lot of modern writers, I guess you might say, is he said, don't write themes, write people, write characters. And that's what I've always tried to do. Really, in my books, people have asked me, like, oh, because when I first got on BookTube, reviewing books and having discussions with other people, the big thing going around, and this was years ago, was, oh, what's the theme? What's the theme? Theme. And when people ask me about the theme of my book, it's like, well, I don't write any direct themes. I'm not one of those guys, and obviously, now that I got to interview him, neither is Jim. He's not one of these people that writes the book around a theme. Me, I guess my theme to the books are never give up. There is always hope. So if that is something that you're interested in, if you're like, yeah, I want a book where it's like, it's never over till it's over, that's kind of the type of books that I like to write. And, so hearing that come from one of the greatest writers of all time, I'm just like, okay, I am going in a right direction. And then his third thing that he told me, and this one is more of something that you can take not just in writing, but in life. He said, go plant seeds, because everybody needs from time to time a tree to take shelter under. And when I asked him, I was like, well, how does it feel when there are writers who are famous on their own now say that you are the reason that they started writing, or they were inspired by you, even though Jim's only in his early 50s and we got Sapkowski who's in his late 70s that just dropped a book, you know. And so he's kind of almost, he's that legend without being super old. But, he said that's not what he planned to do, but he may have planted seeds along the way that people behind him can take shelter under the trees once they've grown. And really, that's also what I want to do. Now, I'm no Jim Butcher, but what platform I do have, I want to share and help everybody along. Like I said, I've interviewed Jim Butcher and some other really big authors, but if you are an up-and-coming author, and especially with my job, it is so much easier for me to do audiobooks. But if you are a indie author and you have an audiobook, or you would like to eventually come on and we can talk about your story. So if you have a book, especially an audiobook, send it my way, message me, my email's in there, very easy to find. And I would love to read some more indie books and get some more indie authors on the channel. So I hope to see you all soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned a little bit. But more importantly, I hope you be more than human.